Okay, perfect. So guys, last talk today. I hope you have still some energy. I was thinking about making a joke on Celsius the whole day, but it was too hot to find one. Sorry about that. I'm going to talk about DeFi and the future of banking. So potentially, so many of you are already experts. So it might be a little bit lightweight on some edges, but kind of like the twist that I give here is kind of like given my background. So I involve myself a little bit like at the, let's say, at the border between the regulated world and the non-regulated world, and trying to bring like as many ideas of the non-regulated world into the regulated world. And so I will just demystify what I'm doing during this presentation. So first, who am I? Well, so I kind of was a banker some time ago. Actually, I'm a developer from my core origin. Started a development company out of university, then moved to Berlin and joined a company builder that 1 week after I joined decided to start businesses in fintech. Yeah, and you can imagine. So when I went to university, anything around finance and so on was definitely not my core strength. So it was kind of an uphill battle for me to really get into this. But the good thing about being a developer is you always try to understand the requirements first, right? And so if you're a good developer, you really try to really understand the requirements and then kind of like make suggestions how to build things better. So when we were at this company builder, it was called FinLeap in Germany, we decided to found the bank from the scratch. And so I had the opportunity to join Solaris Bank in Germany as a co-founder and CTO, and we ran for a banking license in Germany, and then also I built with my team the whole infrastructure to really run the bank and so on. So therefore, I really know it from the inner heart. End of 2016, got into connection with the crypto scene, mostly driven by the question: hey, if you can become your own bank, so why are we still running our business? So why aren't we stopping and doing something else? Kind of like the more I informed myself and read and tried things out, the more I really got caught by this. So therefore, really enthusiastic about also what these days is done with DeFi. After Solaris Bank, I joined Börse Stuttgart and built up a regulated crypto exchange, like running with a stock market license. And now, for the last 1 year, so we started Ultimate and Unstoppable Finance, and we want to bring DeFi to the masses. So first of all, so why we're here? Well, the invention of the internet has been a big thing, and it has been pretty disruptional. I think we all believe that the invention of blockchain and kind of having DeFi, having also like many Web3 projects, is really like the start of a new development of that kind. And so there's this famous quote by Andreessen Horowitz: "Software is eating the world," and now, like 11 years later, we've seen kind of Amazon revolutionize retail, Spotify the music industry, and kind of like everything that we use became more digital, faster, cheaper, and more usable, and so on. But there's just one industry that kind of, so from my perspective, really didn't change at all, right? And it's the financial services and banking industry. And if we have a look at how this industry works, so first of all, so to me, one really outstanding example for how the financial service industry really is not fulfilling the customer's needs is when it comes, for example, to real-time transactions. I think every one of us is really used to getting WhatsApp messages in real time for more than 10 years already, and kind of like almost any information that you want to get, you can really gather in real time, and that's the new normal. When it comes to banking transactions, so when the euro was introduced, so I know that I just finished school, and my parents bought me a book about the euro, the year 2000, and so I read it, and even in this book there was already written kind of, hey, there will be the target system, so it's nowadays it's known with target 2 and SEPA instant payments, also that I can do like cross-border transactions inside Europe in real time. And we have now 2022. real-time transactions in banking are not the default yet. So there's many banks even charging you extra for that. And so if you want to wire money somewhere, so you're waiting like 3 days so that the transaction is really settled. So that's the normal. I think this is an example. So they had like 20 years to bring that up. Yeah, and it probably takes another 10 years so that it's really accessible everywhere. And furthermore, so you followed kind of like all the different scandals and problems that occurred kind of like in the banking industry. So there was the Wirecard scandal in Germany, so which was a pretty big thing. And like Cum-Ex is also like a German-based scandal, so where it's about kind of like committing or like avoiding or getting tax repayments when doing stock market transactions, and kind of like all the like money laundering activities of bigger banks, where I don't know, on a monthly basis, there's police officers walking into the Deutsche Bank and just like getting paper and leaving again. So that's kind of how it is these days. And from my point of view, so this and this is kind of my view on DeFi. So I really see DeFi as also as one of the solutions really to circumvent all these scandals in the future. And yeah, so that's coming later. When I talk to people outside, especially also outside the crypto industry, I'm always explaining. So there have been two main waves in the crypto industry. So first, Bitcoin was invented as a payments system, like a decentralized one, so that people can send money around the globe without knowing the backend infrastructure and really trusting these transactions. And kind of in the first wave, people somehow found out that these crypto assets were kind of like growing in price all the time, right? So if you follow back like 10 years, so like if you put put it at a scale, so this like always goes up. So people started to trade it, to speculate on cryptocurrencies, and there's now like a big industry being developed around that. So like decentralized exchanges, and people go there for trading and also kind of looking towards like how much it really went to the masses. So there's like licenses in Germany, for example, so for crypto trading, and there's like the MiCA regulation and so on. So this kind of like almost went through the whole hype cycle, tokenized assets and all these things. And to me, DeFi is kind of the second wave of the development, and from my perspective, it's really more about delivering financial services and not like the next crypto asset that gets traded somewhere. And I think this separation is super important when talking to people outside the industry, because I think many people always feel distracted when you say like, hey, you do something with crypto, then they always like treat you like, oh, okay, so you're a millionaire and whatever, and it's all speculation and Bitcoin doesn't have a value and whatever. Then I would say like, okay, forget about Bitcoin trading. So it's now about building financial services. So the stuff that you got from the bank back in the days, so you can now get like from like a decentralized infrastructure, so like getting a loan, investing money, earning yield, having asset managers and so on. And I think then people start to realize, okay, so that's a completely different animal, and they forget kind of about the first wave. So what is DeFi? I think I don't need to go too deep into this. You all know. So what are the kind of like the points that I always point out when talking to people outside the industry? And who are these people? So I'm talking to like a lot of journalists, and we're currently doing media tours in Germany to talk to journalists and really discussing how is the perception of crypto, and are there questions, and can we kind of like help to create an understanding, and also I'm part of the advisory board of the Ministry of Finance in Germany. It's the same question, so we meet quarterly and we can really put crypto topics on the agenda, and we always explain there, hey, so this is not about only trading, so it's really about building financial service infrastructure. And the cool thing that I always explain about it is, first of all, it's global. Yeah, so you always had kind of financial jurisdictions, for example, the Euro region, North America, and like each Asian country almost is regulated like in a independent way, and it's not interoperable that easily. So you have the SWIFT protocol, but this also doesn't work that well. So now you have like a global infrastructure that is can be equally used by everyone. So which is like a big favor. It's permissionless and interoperable. So this, like the example from the old world is, for example, the banking industry is working for the last 10 years on PSD2 and open banking standards, and also kind of access to bank accounts so that people can move their bank account from one bank to the other. And they're talking 10 years about it. They now have the first implementations and specifications, but the product that results for the user is really dumb, right? So it doesn't feel good, so the people are not using it. But yeah, so like the challenge, the kind of like the goal was achieved, because if nobody's using it, if nobody's changing their bank, I think the banks have what they want, right? So kind of DeFi and building financial service on the blockchain really is kind of like open banking built inside, and people are using the money Legos, are building decentralized value chains to deliver financial services. And I think like the traditional finance industry would never get there. And the second thing, it's really about transparency. So first of all, like each transaction gets recorded on the blockchain. I think that's a big win. So when really being transparent and following what's going on and who did what. Also kind of when it's about, for example, having an audit trail. So kind of so to really see like what wallet address interacted with what protocol. But additionally, so I was invited to also give a speech at a BaFin conference 5 weeks ago, and they asked me to talk about the future of regulation. And I was saying that so I was saying like software is eating the world. So I also say software is eating the regulator in the future. It's because so if you build financial services with a smart contract, and that smart contract could be, for example, audited before going live, then once it's deployed, it's very difficult to change, and it's very difficult to manipulate. And in the end, kind of the big caveat of the traditional banking and financial service ecosystem is that there's still so much stuff done manually. Yeah, so kind of in the Wirecard scandal, so it was not a machine who manipulated something. It was like people who wanted to whatever get more money or have a benefit for somebody else. So in the end, in banks usually you have these crazy processes and documentations and 4i principle and controls on each process segment and so on, really where the banks try to avoid that this stuff happens. But in the end, so if there's like a human involved, and humans are very creative, you will always have manipulation. So like Wirecard 2, Wirecard 3, Wirecard 4 is going to happen, and therefore I really see DeFi and building financial services in form of a smart contract. I really see this as a solution for a better financial service ecosystem in the future, because it will solve the dilemma of the regulators where kind of after Wirecard 5, potentially right next to every bank employee, there will be a BaFin or like a regulator employee and watching what the person is doing all day. So in the end, but there will still be manipulation, right? So like the humans will find a way. So like having a fully automized and smart contract-based financial service ecosystem, I think that's really the solution to a better world. Yes, so well, I don't need to explain what DeFi services are. And in the end, non-custodial wallets are kind of the access gateway to this world. So why are we at Unstoppable Finance also so fascinated about this? Because we really believe that this is kind of the, let's say, the mate that the people are using, kind of like their friend, helping them to navigate a complex world. And we also believe that kind of like if there's like this safe haven in this complex world, so that where the people know like, okay, so I know how this works, I find all the interesting opportunities that I can use in there. So we believe it will be the non-custodial wallets that people will use. And furthermore, really going forward, so I was talking about DeFi a lot here, but there's also kind of like the bigger topic around with Web3. So people are start to use to hold all their data in their wallet, to make like a login persona with their wallet, and kind of use it whatever, like 80, 100, 150 times every day, because it's kind of their central tool to do almost everything digitally. Yeah, and so what's our mission with Ultimate? So we want to bring DeFi to the masses. I think there's many people doing that. Sorry for having such a broad slogan here, but kind of like really delivering the mission is, so we want to make it super easy for the users. So we have the designer of Trade Republic also in our team, and so we want to build a DeFi mobile application that so really appeals to everyone and makes it easy to invest into different protocols just with a few fingertips. And furthermore, we do protocol curation, so we created a protocol curation framework that we also use and very transparently write about like why we are using certain protocols, and that's kind of the help for the user to get a co-pilot really to navigate this complex world. The second thing is doing education by communication. Probably many people of you have never heard about me. So the reason is because I'm talking like a lot on events that are not crypto specific. So kind of being like at kind of like mainstream conferences and try to educate people in that space. And the third thing is that we really try to involve also at the regulators level. So we had a lot of activity in the transfer of funds regulation to really avoid the worst things to happen also in MiCA, so that we made sure that the DeFi is not included in there. So we talked in the European Parliament and so on, and kind of we ramped up quite some resources to protect the industry from bad regulation. So final thoughts. To me, so as I'm kind of coming from the old world and from the fintech world, to me, DeFi is really fintech 2.0, because so back in the days when the first fintech company started, they were saying like, hey, so we get rid of the banks and so we kind of like we take over, and then they realized, oh damn, without a license and without infrastructure, it's not possible. I think DeFi is something different because it's not only nice front ends on old technology, it's really new front ends on new technology and new infrastructure, and therefore the level of innovation is much bigger than fintech could ever be. Furthermore, it scales almost unlimitedly. So if you compare, for example, New York Stock Exchange and Uniswap, kind of also what revenues per employee they do, kind of running on top of a blockchain means that you really get a lot of stuff for free, and therefore you can really focus on what you're building. I think that's a big advantage for these projects. And all in all, I'm super enthusiastic about like all these benefits that I said, kind of being open, permissionless, decentralized, and very difficult to manipulate. I'm really sure that also with all the protocols that we've seen so far, algorithmic stable coins and all the projects, that we really have the components in front of us to build the best financial service ecosystem that existed in human history. And so therefore we're building Ultimate, and so I'm here for the next few days. If you want to discuss also kind of like what do politicians think and kind of what's the different opinions, so I'm really open to discuss and also hear your thoughts and ideas, because I think it's like the next 12 to 18 months will be really pivotal for the whole industry, because so we really need to make sure that that kind of the right arguments are delivered also to like ECB and the European Parliament and so on. And so we will really fight for the industry here. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have some questions? Is everybody pooped out at the end of the day? There we go.
Hello, I have a question. So the target audience are retail investors, right?
Yes.
And one of the core problems that we have in crypto is the education around what people are actually investing in. And if you are targeting retail investors, is Ultimate basically also going to provide education around what is being invested in, or is it just going to pre-select certain investments that people can do?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and so we discussed about that also a lot internally, and as kind of, so what does it mean, kind of like to bring DeFi to the masses? So from in our perspective, it's not one step that's going to happen, because at the moment it's like still like quite in the niche, so like a few million people worldwide who are very enthusiastic about it, who also know a lot of the technology behind it, and therefore they're able to use it. And kind of like until it arrives at the cab driver or at the teacher, there will be a lot of steps in between. And from our perspective, it really starts with kind of like with the core crypto community. Then kind of it will be like the people who maybe bought some cryptocurrencies already, but did not look into the DeFi space yet, and that's a lot of people. Even like a lot of people who are working in these companies who are just like very busy, just like building CeFi business and kind of running the whole show. Then there's like the fintech people, there's like the startup people, there's maybe then like the broader banking people and so on. And that's kind of how we see the thing. So kind of like starting with the next two kind of like next generations of crypto users and DeFi users, and then expand over time. Because really explaining to kind of somebody who's not technical, not in crypto, didn't get like the concept of blockchain and so on, so where do you start with the education? Yeah, so that's so difficult, and therefore we do this in stages.
Thank you.
Any other?
Hi, thanks for your talk. I think my question is about sustainable sources of yield, because I think right now DeFi generates yield from largely speculative finance, right? Which is, I mean, more power to you, but do you think that real world assets are going to become key to generating sustainable sources of revenue and yield ultimately, right, for DeFi protocols?
Yeah, that's also a good question. So for us, kind of the core business model for crypto still is trading. So kind of so what we take care for is to build an application to really help the user to find like all these core use cases. So first of all, so they open a wallet, so that's kind of like where it starts. Then they can trade on a DEX. So that's one thing we built inside. And at the moment we offer liquid staking and option vaults, but kind of like also very selected. So it's not like the broad list of everything, and kind of like where the user really loses herself. Kind of like, I don't know, too many options and too many things you don't understand, and then you cut off and you let it go. So it's in the end really built in a way that it more feels like a robo-advisor, yeah. So that you just like you have one option. So we selected that wisely, and also we really try to find the right trade-off between kind of like the risk that's also like implied in the DeFi service and in the investment, and on the other side also kind of still being attractive, because yeah, so many people in the DeFi space are really hunting for like the big APYs and switching a lot, and that's probably also not our core target group. So kind of like we're looking for the people who say like, okay, hey, I don't want to do this the whole day, so I have another job to do. So just like having an autopilot, clicking a few times, and then you're invested.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you again, Peter, and enjoy your evening, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.